Many of us have grown up playing different types of games. Connect 4, Candyland, Monopoly, Twister, Trouble, and the real troublemaker, Uno. Now, if you've ever had more than 3 draw 4s played right before your turn, you might be entitled to emotional compensation. Honestly, Uno probably has ended more friendships than group projects. But the game that's really filled with suspense is Jenga. Now, if you're a parent, you'll most likely agree with the statement that it's probably one of the loudest games ever invented, unless you're playing a really intense game of charades. But the game of Jenga is simple. You start off with your tall tower, steady, stable, structured. Every piece has its place. And as you play the game, you start to take out pieces, a piece here, a piece there, and you stack these pieces back on top, one after the other, to keep your tower tall. But we all know how the game ends. Eventually, all those wooden blocks come tumbling down, crashing loudly onto the table and the floor. And then we scramble to pick up all those pieces. And unless you're like my friend group, there's always someone pushing people out of the way not to bump the table, someone trying not to breathe too hard on the tower, and someone yelling, "Don't touch it!" It's chaotic. And I feel like life is very similar to that. We live in a Jenga-paced world, ever-moving, ever-changing, fast-paced. There are people in this world that are constantly pushing us to prove ourselves, show our worth. There's always a list of demands, expectations, more yeses, more things to do. There are constantly things that are being pulled from us, left and right, left and right. The world requires us to constantly move. If we're not moving, we're not doing. We're not achieving. We're not accomplishing. That movement equals progress. But being busy isn't always about productivity. Yes, we can get things done, but I can bet you that when y'all are opening your Outlook and Google Calendars, it's probably signs saying, another thing to do? Life is not always about movement. Sometimes it's about stillness. It's about choosing rest. For me personally, busy has been my middle name. There's always something for me to do. Take last semester for an example. Working 3 jobs at the same time, starting my graduate school journey while finishing undergrad, holding multiple leadership positions, some of those coming out of the blue, dealing with multiple family health crises at the same time, and trying to finish a book. In short, there was a whole lot going on in my life. And in that moment, and even now, I continuously have to remind myself to choose stillness, that I can't measure my level of dedication, my level of worth, by my ability to perform when I'm suffering. Getting through, enduring, is not always the goal in life, and it shouldn't be something that we hold ourselves to. Many of us live in this false reality that in order to rest, we have to put it on our calendar 5 days from now, that we can't rest until 50 years when we've accomplished all the things that we want in this life. And I argue that that's false. Rest is fundamental to who we are. As a Christian, I believe that stillness is built in every single one of us. It's not a suggestion. It's not something that we should have to think about, because stillness is not being lazy. It's not being a couch potato. It's truly reflecting, being still, taking a step back, and renewing our hearts, our minds, and our spirits. That is stillness. Stillness is about opening yourself up to the possibilities of the world, not constantly pushing for a label or a title or a goal or an achievement. We open ourselves up, we empty ourselves, but we call it commitment. That's not commitment. So we've talked a lot about how Jenga is fast-paced, it's chaotic, and even though we anticipate that fall, when all those Jenga blocks come tumbling down, it always scares us. We jump a little bit, our heart sinks to our stomachs, and as soon as that moment happens, it's over just like that. That's life. So let's shift a little bit to something that's a little more calm, a little bit more still. Let's think of a farmer. In his hand, he holds an apple seed. He digs his hole, he plants that seed, and he covers it back up with soil. Now, I don't have to be a green thumb to know that checking that seed every 30 seconds or every day, I'm not going to see immediate growth with that seed. And unlike Jenga, where it's a game of constantly moving upwards, building taller, building higher, when we're planting our seeds, that plant has to root itself. It digs downward. It's growing deep. And then, as it roots itself, it grows upward. It reaches its branches out, it supports others, it covers others, and that fruitfulness serves others. We should strive to be like that apple seed, not like a Jenga tower. I'm a big fan of the spring. Looking at trees with its colorful flowers, beautiful fruits is always fun to look at. It's exciting, it's colorful, and it makes you feel a little bit more alive. And unlike the dead winter, which is unfortunately coming upon us very soon in Texas, the leaves are gone, the branches are barren, and there's dead leaves tumbling against the ground in the wind. And even though those are two jarring comparisons, they both have meaning. A lot of us chase after those seasons of fruitfulness, where we can give each other flowers, receive our own. It's colorful, it's exciting. We feel like life has meaning, it has purpose. We're moving towards something. But in those moments, those seasons, when the leaves are gone and the branches are bare, it doesn't feel quite exciting. It's not colorful, there's no fruit present, and we feel like there's no change or movement happening. But both of those seasons have meaning. Whether you can see the fruit or you can't, there's still change happening, even when you can't see it. There's seasons that happen in our lives. Some last a bit longer than others. But regardless of what season that we're in, know that there's still change, stillness, and rest happening. Now, we all took science class eventually at some point in our academic careers, and we know that all plants take a few key elements, those being water, sunlight, wind, time, care, rest, and stillness. And even though as people, we don't literally need the exact same elements to grow, we do need time, we do need care, we do need rest, and we do need stillness in order to grow purposefully. The world tells us to prove ourselves, do better, be better, achieve new heights. Everybody wants to be an innovator, but many of us don't actually know what innovation means. We think it's creativity, earning more money, hitting the bottom line, reaching new heights, being better than others, whether it's as an individual, an organization, or an institution. But innovation is about renewed intention, renewing how we lead, how we serve, how we love others, and how we love ourselves. We constantly stuff ourselves full with things to do, places to be, but there's no room left for us to grow. We're overflowing. A jar that is empty is much more useful than a jar that's full. I challenge all of us to leave room in ourselves for stillness, to allow that space in ourselves to grow. Innovation is about being led differently. We're always thinking about what is there to do. But the question that I challenge us to think about is, who can I be? Who is my being? What does it look like to not be still and think that I'm doing nothing or that I'm being stagnant in life? But what does it look like to just rest? To choose to just look out into the world, ponder, and think about how we can move forward together. So, seasons. They happen in cycles, they're ever-changing, and we don't always know when they're going to end. Like that Jenga tower, it's very easy to knock it over. It takes one pull of the right block, a large gust of wind to knock it over, or someone bumping the table. But when we think about that apple seed that grew into a tall, strong, large tree that covers others, it's steady, rooted, grounded, and stable. We don't rush greatness. We don't measure our worth by what society tells us that we should be doing. We allow ourselves to take the time that it needs. What happens when we harvest fruits too soon? They're sour, bitter, not as tasteful and sweet as it could be. But when we allow things to rest, we allow stillness and for things to grow in its own time, when it's finally time to harvest that idea, to see the fruitfulness of our good works, our good deeds, It is oh so sweet, and you can really use that fruitfulness to serve others the way that we've been called. So whether you're living currently like that Jenga tower, one piece away from collapsing, tumbling, hitting the ground or the floor, or you're that apple tree, steady, rooted, and grounded. Regardless of what season you're in or which element you are, stillness is in you. Choose to rest. Choose time and care. For storms always come, and we never know when, and we never know how strong they might be. But if we're that Jenga tower, it takes one wind to blow us away. Choose to be that tree, stable, rooted, and grounded. So when those storms come and they hit us, we're able to get through it, strong, confident, and together. Thank you.